Good afternoon. My name is Chiyomi Kobayashi. I belong to the seminar led by Professor Iwasaki in the Faculty of Humanities, Department of English Language and Culture. Today, I'd like to talk about my volunteer experience in Ishinomaki-city, Miyagi Prefecture. Since last October, my seminar mates and I have been going to Ishinomaki-city and the surrounding areas as volunteer workers, taking care of senior citizens and children living in temporary housing. Please look at the map. You can see Ishinomaki north of Sendai. Ishinomaki was a city which has the largest number of casualties after the March 11 disaster. In this presentation, I will talk about my volunteer experience, what I did, saw, found, and felt about the state in which people live in the devastated areas. I will also talk about how to help the people in Tohoku. I will share some pictures that I took, and I hope you will be able to learn more about the reality people are facing in Tohoku. Every month since last October, 3 students and Professor Iwasaki have been visiting Ishinomaki-city to help people. We have been taking turns to go there. So far, we have been there 9 times and 23 students in total have been participating in this program. We stayed there for 5 days on average. The main part of our volunteer work is visiting temporary housing in Ishinomaki with a volunteer medical organization called Cannus, which consists of professional nurses, clinical psychotherapists, and doctors. When I was in Sendai by ferry for the first time, I thought that the area was so terrible. It looked like World War II. It looked like World War II, like a photo of Tokyo after the war. How could this have ever happened? I felt that it was impossible for Tohoku to completely recover. My mind became confused, and I just cried. I couldn't think of anything. In Ishinomaki, the children had lost their playgrounds. Instead, temporary housing had been built. This is Kadowaki Elementary School. This is a place where a lot of children used to play around. But the tsunami deprived the Ishinomaki children of the place where most of their important memories came from. Also, many of them had lost their family members, relatives, and friends. They lost not only their playgrounds, but also important people in their lives. As a result, because of the disaster, one mother and one doctor told me that these children closed their hearts and minds. Every day, we call the children to a meeting room in a temporary house and try to let them communicate with each other and make friends. We played with them by coloring pictures, doing kamishibai picture card shows, playdough, and other ordinary kids games. We tried to let them be as active as possible, but some of them looked as if they were waiting for a chance to burst out and run around. The first day, they were very quiet, but after playing with us, they became more active. On the second and third day, they became even more excited. Only during the last 2 days, they withdrew into themselves because they knew we were leaving. One child got my attention more than the others. She taught me something very important about the reality people are facing in Tohoku. From her, I learned that tsunami not only destroyed houses and communities, it also put pressure on families. The child told me things that she couldn't say to her mom. She said to me, My best friend had to move to a faraway city with her family. I feel very lonely, but I do not want to tell my mom how I feel, because she will feel even more pain. When I heard this, I didn't know what to say. So we continued praying. I realized that she could say these things only to volunteer workers like me. Do you know why? That's because she didn't have a close relationship with me, because I'm a stranger. So she was free to open her heart. Even a small child like her was going through very difficult experiences even adults have difficulty managing. People in temporary housing areas have difficulty creating a community. They are not originally from the same because they are not originally from the same community. They have to build the relationship from the start. The Cannus is worried about solitary deaths in temporary housing areas. Every morning, we help the Cannus staff check the elderly people's blood pressure, and we also ask them about their physical conditions. This was also to prevent solitary deaths among senior citizens. These were the two activities I was mainly involved in. From this, I realized that what I'd heard in the media before coming and the reality I was seeing were two different things. I need to experience the reality in Ishinomaki firsthand to really understand what was going on. I saw people suffering and their desperation. These memories will stay with me forever. In conclusion, I don't think you have to be an expert in a particular field to help. Anybody can help. I'm a student, and I was able to help nonetheless. Even now, 1.5 years later, there are still thousands of people who need support from volunteer workers. However, if you look at the graph, you can see that the number of volunteer workers in Tohoku is decreasing. But the people living in Tohoku that I have met have told me there still needs support from volunteer workers and everyone who can help. That's reality. Thank you for listening.